Do you know what's stopping you from doing that one thing you've always wanted to do? You don't, because it doesn't exist. This is Josh Bauer, and no, it really doesn't exist. In terms of the election, what do we have here? I mean, Michigan. I think we're looking good on Michigan. I think Trump's going to win. If we're asking for my personal my personal forecast here, all we need is Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona. Even if Pennsylvania goes, I hope Pennsylvania doesn't go. But if Pennsylvania goes, we can do without Pennsylvania if we have Michigan. And I think based on what I'm seeing right now, and I'm going to reload this page here. We have Michigan. Okay, 8% is not very it's not very conclusive, but that 8% is almost half and half. It's 54 to Kamala, 43 to Trump. So that's not almost half and half, but when you think about the fact that that 8% is just from like the cities, you got Lansing, Grand Rapids, and Detroit. Like the other 20 or 25 counties that are all rural have not been counted, and those are almost guaranteed going to come out to Trump. So I think we're going to win Michigan. I've kind of expressed to Glenn some of the things that some of the reasons I think Trump would make a better president, and I think at the end of the day, Kamala Harris just is not going to represent the country very well. And when I say that, I mean to other countries in the world. And to me, that's one of the most important functions of a president, right? Because you have the Secretary of State. But other than that, the president is basically the person who is primarily responsible for negotiating with other countries on America's behalf. Not just negotiating, but being the spokesperson, like being the main face, right, of the country and making those important decisions relating to war, decisions relating to trade, decisions related to allies and enemies. And I think that's the thing that matters a lot more than some of the things that other people are concerned about. Kamala Harris is going to be she's going to have typical Democrat policies, more lenient on abortion, which is one of the issues that Glenn was more concerned with. And then we have a couple more that are actually I think important to discuss, which is ID, right? Voter ID. And I've listened to a lot of Joe Rogan's recent interviews because he had obviously like Donald Trump, JD Vance, and Elon Musk all on his interview within the period of a week or something. And one of the topics that kept coming up over and over, and even like Joe Rogan himself would bring this up, is the voter ID laws in states like California, where it's actually illegal to not only to ask for voter ID, but it's illegal to like even look at it if someone voluntarily presents it. If you are a poll aide or whatever you would call it, and Elon Musk, I think he might have overplayed the issue a little bit in terms of, I don't think it's going to be the downfall of democracy or anything if more illegal immigrants are allowed in than would be ideal. He makes it sound like it is. I don't think it'll be that bad, but it's certainly not ideal either if people that are, and when I say that, like, okay, fine, let's say they import Democrats to all the swing states and the country goes Democrat for a little bit. The thing is, if you look at the history of voting over since the beginning of the country, no party ever stays the same. I mean, just look 20, 30 years ago, the Democrat Party right now is much different than it was back then. Even if like Elon Musk says, it turns into a quote-unquote one-party state, which is Democrats winning all the swing states for a long time, in 20 years, things are going to be so much different. I mean, technology is just going to change everything. All the issues are going to be different, in my opinion. Even if the issues are the same, parties are probably going to adopt and take sides of issues, like take the other side of issues in 20 years than they do now. I don't think there runs a risk of there being a one-party system. And even if there is, everybody still votes So it's not really a downfall of democracy. Now, if the borders are really open forever, then yeah, that's not a country. You don't call that a country. I don't know. That's like it's not a country, right? If anybody can just come and vote. But I don't know. I don't really think it's that much of an urgent issue, but at the same time, it's definitely a problem. And then there's the transgender stuff, and I don't really think that is top of the agenda for a lot of Republicans. Maybe it is. I don't think it should be taught like at young ages and stuff. I will agree there. But foreign policy and demanding respect from other countries, specifically countries that are adversarial against us, Iran, Russia. Russia, in my opinion, is not as bad at the moment when it comes to adversarial against the United States in particular. Obviously, we take Ukraine's side, but and when I say we, I mean the United States as a whole, in terms of politicians and whatnot. But Russia, like, we took Ukraine's side after Russia invaded. Like, Russia has not gone to war with us, and they have not declared any interest to blow us up or anything like that. Like, whereas you look at Iran and other Middle Eastern countries, not all of them, but some of them, certainly would like for America to be destroyed. In fact, it's literally in their, whatever you call it, their religious doctrine or whatever, death to America, death to Israel. So I think there's some problems there, and I think that Trump is a person to deal with that. I think that he deals very aggressively and very directly with people like that. And I think that's the type of thing you need. Kamala Harris, I just can't imagine it. If there was any good foreign policy under Kamala Harris's administration, it wouldn't be from her doing any sort of negotiation. It would be from people under her. And that's just not how I would prefer for things to be done. And honestly, I just like Trump as a person. I really do. I think that, and there's all kinds of things that people try to smack in his face in terms of stuff that they claim he's done in the past, and I don't know what's true and what's not. But in terms of the felony conviction, I think that was complete bullshit. I think that, well, first of all, when I first heard it, I thought it was not even legal, like not even legal charges. And then I heard a little bit more about it, and I figured out, okay, maybe there is some merit to the charges. So I'm now at a place where I admit that he probably was legitimately guilty of what they claim he was guilty of. But the thing that they claim he was guilty of was so, what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for. Like, so minor, so irrelevant. Like one of those things that you have to really, really, really go look for in order to even find it. And the problem is, if you can charge him of something like that, then you can charge anyone with something like that. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and basically they were saying, like, that's, and this quote came from somebody particular, and I don't remember his name, but find the person and I'll find you the crime. Like, if you decide who you're going to target first, and then you go and find out what they did wrong afterwards, you're always going to find something on somebody. And I think that's what they did to him. Going back to the election here, we now have results in from New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Illinois, all these places that are pretty obviously going to vote Democrat. And then we have a bunch of Republican states coming into North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Louisiana is going towards Trump quite a bit, it looks like, although they're only 2% in. A lot of these states have been called. Michigan and Pennsylvania are honestly going to be the key states here. And hopefully we're going to get some results here. Michigan is 10% in. I think we're looking good in Michigan. Now, right now, it's 52% towards Kamala Harris, 45% Donald Trump, but it's only 10% in, which is 2% more than before. And we have a lot of rural counties to go in Michigan. I think we're going to do good in Michigan. Pennsylvania. Yikes. Hold on. Pennsylvania's not looking good. I hope we win Michigan. Because, what time is it right now? 9:11 p.m., November 5th, Eastern Standard Time. Pennsylvania's not looking good. Just going to say that right now. while I look at some of these other states that are going to come in, I'm going to tune into Charlie Kirk, which, in my opinion, he has some pretty good updates on the election.
Just because it's very entertaining, we have less than 1% of the vote in Wayne County. So we're talking about 900 total votes, but Donald Trump is up 65-32 in Wayne County in Michigan. That's Detroit.
I love it.
So some random, precinct.
By the way,
So they're talking about Michigan right now. It looks like they're on the same train of thought that I am, which is Michigan's very important.
Calls Ohio for Trump. Oh,
Let's go.
we can all get on board with that.
There we go.
That's a big one, everybody, this early. If you're at 9 p.m. Eastern calling Ohio for Trump, you're in a good spot.
Put it on the board.
Ohio
It's
used to
already-
be-
Guys, that is a signal to Pennsylvania.
we knew we were going to win
Western Pennsylvania votes very. What were you talking about earlier about New Jersey, Andrew? Remember, we were talking about how people do not. Cultural differences do not stop at state borders, right? So the Steelers crowd, the Steelers fans bleed into Youngstown, Ohio, right across the river. So by the same token, so do political drifts and political wins, if you will. And so if Trump is coming up that big in Ohio, you're going to see that reflected. Look, I mean...
Yeah, so what they're saying here is basically that the AP calling Ohio for Trump is going to be a reflection of what happens in Pennsylvania. I don't know whether or not that's going to be the case. I do know that Pennsylvania, let's see, right now we're looking at 60% to 38% Kamala to Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. And a lot of the rural counties seem to have already reported their votes. So this is going to be close, I guess. But I have to stand by my original prediction that Pennsylvania goes to Kamala Harris. And I hope that's not the case, but it sounds like it's what's going to happen. Just based on the fact of what I'm seeing right now.
So much money on Texas.
Every time. And so just for comparison, win it by 11. We won it by less than 6 last time, about 5.5. So a 5-point improvement in Texas. That's very promising. Man, if we improve by like 5 points in the Sun Belt, we lost New Mexico by 11 in 2020.
All right, so here's what's going on in 2020. We won Ohio, we lost Pennsylvania, we lost Georgia, we lost Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, and we lost Nevada and Arizona. And that's what put Joe Biden over by quite a bit in 2020. It looks like we're going to win Arizona, we're going to win Nevada, we're going to win Georgia, and when it comes to Pennsylvania and Michigan, I don't know. We're going to have to see. So as I was telling Glenn, there are some swing states that are at play here. Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Actually, it looks like Wisconsin is actually going for Trump. Just a slight lean. Let me look into this a little bit. So it's 9:16 p.m. We have 2% in. 2% into Wisconsin. And it's going pretty significantly towards Donald Trump. But we don't have Milwaukee or Madison, any results from those cities in yet, so I don't know. So we have, what I say, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania. Those are basically the major swing states. And this is my prediction, right? My prediction, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia go to Trump. Michigan also goes to Trump. Wisconsin and Pennsylvania go to Kamala Harris. That was my prediction as of yesterday, based on everything that I've seen. Specifically based on the results that I saw from Elon Musk, which he's the one that posted them. They didn't come from him, but he's the one that posted them, basically showing that the early voting was much better for Republicans this time around than it was for Democrats in all states except for Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. So that's what makes me think that, well, let me put it this way. Early voting was better for Republicans in every single swing state. But in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the early voting still favored Democrats in Pennsylvania by 423,000 votes, and Wisconsin by only 4,000 votes, as opposed to last election when it was 87,000 votes. So Wisconsin has a possibility to go for Trump. In fact, on the map, on AP's map, they predict that it is going to Trump right now. But it's a little bit more of a toss-up. For the sake of being conservative, I gave it to Kamala Harris. Pennsylvania, I am worried about it because I'm clicking on it right here. And I see 21% in, which is almost a quarter. And Kamala Harris has 58% of the vote. I don't know. If, I got to see how much Michigan is worth. Okay, Wisconsin. If Trump wins Wisconsin, okay, let me do the math on this real quick. If he wins Wisconsin instead of Michigan, we still win. Yes? Yeah, if we win Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, but lose Michigan and Pennsylvania, that gets us to 278 instead of... wait, hold on. Did I mess that up? Yeah, 278 instead of 283. So we still win that. We still win. Trump still wins if we win Wisconsin instead of Michigan. So we just need to win one or the other, assuming we lose Pennsylvania. If we win Pennsylvania, game over, right? Because Pennsylvania's 19, Wisconsin's 10, Michigan's 15. If we win Pennsylvania, it's game over. If we win Pennsylvania and another state, it's not really a landslide in terms of what you would consider a typical election, but certainly more than margin of error. It's more than one state, I'm going to give it back to Charlie Kirk a little bit while I look at some of these results.
We lost Pennsylvania by a point. If we make counties 3 points more Republican, we win.
I love that. So, by the way, can we just Tyler brag on this Michigan youth poll?
Oh, it's so big.
I mean, this is huge.
It's such an indicator
that we are up 4 points with young voters under 30. Everybody, if you're at home, I'm not here to ask you for money. We'll do that later in the year. But if I'm telling you right now, for those...
Yeah, so they're trying to say that that trends that are coming from Ohio and West Virginia are going to seep over into Pennsylvania. Like I said before, that may or may not be the case. Looks like New Mexico is going Democrat, which we already knew. I don't see any states here. Actually, okay. Minnesota looks like it's going slightly red, but only 1% of the vote is in, and it's some random, couple random rural counties. So that doesn't really count. Iowa is leaning blue. It's only got 9% in, and that includes Des Moines, so that's why. Missouri, St. Louis, and Kansas City are in. That's why that one's leaning blue. Kansas, same thing. So Kansas, Iowa, and Missouri, as soon as they start getting the rural counts in, they should flip back over to red. I am going to pause this and take a short break, and then I'm going to be back in a couple minutes when I have a few more updates. So I'm checking in here. It is 10:42 p.m., November 5th, Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so this is an interesting map. So earlier, it was a couple hours ago when I left off, and our swing states were North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, right? It's about the same. Basically, at the moment, all of those states are leaning red towards Trump. Nevada has no data in yet. Minnesota is only 5% in. It's Trump 60, Kamala 36%. Wisconsin 55% in. Trump 50, Kamala 48.5. Michigan is 24% in. Donald Trump 49.6. Kamala Harris 48.6. 1 point lead. Pennsylvania is 60% in. Donald Trump is 50.9%. Kamala 48.1. North Carolina and Georgia are, I would say, set in stone. Don't even have to worry about them. They're going for Trump. So there are a couple different paths to victory here for Donald Trump. And what I consider them to be are going to be Well, first of all, it's the baseline that he has to win Arizona and Nevada, North Carolina and Georgia. After that, he has to win. Well, actually, let me go over to my other map here. Okay, he does that. He just has to win. What? Any other state at all. Anything. It can be Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Virginia, or Nevada. He has to win one of those. And specifically, we're talking about Michigan, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania. Those are the three that I think he's most likely to win. Those are the blue wall. But up for grabs, I think, is Minnesota. Did I say Nevada? I meant to say New Mexico. Minnesota, New Mexico, or Virginia. In my opinion, those are kind of up for grabs. So, assuming that Trump wins Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, if he wins those but loses the other swing states, then he loses. Kamala Harris gets 270 and he gets 268. However, if he wins New Mexico or Virginia or Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin or Minnesota, any one of those, actually 6 states, not 5, any one of those 6 states, then he wins the election. And if he wins more, then he wins by a significant margin. So based on the results that I'm seeing, my prediction at this point in time, well, before my prediction was what? I think I had predicted that he wins Michigan, loses Wisconsin. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Right now, they're all basically leaning towards him, except New Mexico, which actually seems to be going back towards Democrats. So he's probably not going to win that. Virginia, for a second, Virginia was leaning red. Right now, Kamala is up by exactly 1 percentage point. So, man, what about Minnesota? It's 5% in. I don't know. It's interesting here. I think he's going to win because right now he's leaning in all 3 blue wall states. I guess you could say all 4: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Even though Minnesota's only like 5% reporting, so I'm not really going to count that as too heavy. But Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, he is winning by slight margins all 3 of those, but all he has to win is 1. And, I mean, Pennsylvania's actually looking better than it was before. 61% in terms of the vote count, and Donald Trump is winning 51% to 48%. That's a 3-point lead. I think he's doing good in Pennsylvania. I think it's looking good for Trump. It's, like I said, 10:45 p.m. now, so I would say we give it another hour, and if we give it another hour, and that gets us to like 75-80% of the vote coming in for Pennsylvania, and Trump is up by 3 or more points, I think we have a race called. Even if Nevada, which we have no data on at the moment, if Trump wins Pennsylvania, loses Nevada, he still wins. He still wins. Even if he loses Michigan, Wisconsin, even if he loses Michigan and Wisconsin, as long as he wins Pennsylvania, even if he loses Nevada, he still wins 281 to 257. So I think it's looking good for him. We'll check back in about an hour or so. So it's 12:53 a.m., technically November 6th, but kind of the night of November 5th. And I would say as of 5 minutes ago, I'm calling it for Donald Trump. So basically the map that I'm looking at here, the swing states that he's already won would be Georgia and North Carolina. Arizona is a toss-up. It's like 50-50. 49.9% for Donald Trump, 49.2% for Kamala Harris, and only 51% of the votes in Nevada. There's no data. Minnesota went blue. Wisconsin, 84% of the vote is in, 51% towards Donald Trump, 47% towards Kamala Harris, which is like a 4-point lead in Wisconsin with 84% of the vote in. That's significant. A 6% lead in Michigan with 58% of the vote in. That's not nothing. We don't know where the rest of the votes are going to come in from. Is it from the city or is it from the country areas? We don't know that. But still, that's significant. Pennsylvania, 90% of the vote is now in, and he's up by like three points, 3 percentage points. That's huge. So here's the thing. What states are in the balance? Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. And Alaska hasn't voted yet, but I assume they're going to vote Republican. So Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. Now, generally speaking, Donald Trump only needs 2 of these states. The only 2 that will not work is Wisconsin and Nevada. If he gets Wisconsin and Nevada, that's not enough. He'll need 1 more. But any other combination besides Wisconsin and Nevada, any other combination of 2 states, and he wins. So Pennsylvania and Nevada, he wins. Michigan and Nevada, he wins. Wisconsin and Arizona, he wins. Actually, Arizona and Nevada, that doesn't work either. But Arizona and Michigan, he wins. Pennsylvania and Michigan, he wins. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, he wins. Any combination of 2 states, except for Arizona and Nevada, or Wisconsin and Nevada, he wins. So 2 combinations he doesn't. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 combinations he does. So just looking at the statistics of it, it's basically impossible. Come on, with 90% of the votes being in for Pennsylvania, unless all the remaining votes are coming out of Philadelphia, the likelihood that, I mean, what's the margin there in terms of votes? Let me click on that here. We're looking at a 220,000 vote differential in Pennsylvania. And based on the counties I was looking at, it looks like a lot of the votes, there's still some votes coming out from the countryside, like from the rural areas in Pennsylvania too, not just city areas. So I think Pennsylvania is going to go red. Again, it's 12:56 a.m. Michigan, it's only about 60% in at this point in time, but again, it's a 6-point lead. That's huge. More than 6. It's a 6.1 lead. At 60%, I think he's going to get Michigan. So I think just got news on Nevada. 4%, and it's 71% Donald Trump. 4% is nothing in terms of the number of votes that have been counted, but still, first data on Nevada. So it looks like Trump's going to get all 5 of these states, but he only needs 2, of course, minus those 2 combinations that won't work. And it looks like he might get all 5. So, but he's looking very, very good for Pennsylvania. Looking pretty good for Michigan, even though only 60% of the votes are in. There's a 6%. He's up by 6%. Wisconsin, 84% is in, and he's up by 4. I think he'll win Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, but even if he doesn't, he's still got plenty other avenues to win. So I'm calling it. I called it probably 10, 15 minutes ago. I'm calling it for Donald Trump. And I got to get up for work tomorrow, so I'm not going to be up very much longer. But yeah, I'm going to sleep, and this is good. This is good. I'm happy with the results here. I'm looking forward to another interesting 4 years of Donald Trump as President of the United States. President Donald Trump. I miss hearing that. All right, guys. Good night.